Hey, welcome to Intentional Academy Live, episode 15. Tony Farrar, joined by Justin Thomas today to help you squeeze every last drop of value out of your education. We're going to show you how to win through the power of intentional learning, no matter where you are in life. We're here to show you how to manage your time, get control of your money, and launch your dream career. And here we go with another week of midterm rehab hype. Only this one's different, Justin.
Is it?
It is. And here's why. Midterm rehab's ready to go. The videos are recorded, the worksheets are made, everything's organized. All we need to do is press the button to make it live. I think I'm more excited than you are.
I was changing my lighting, but yes, let's do it. Woo. Woo.
Ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille?
Hey, I need to go to rehab, Tony. Let's go to rehab.
There you go. Clearly, because if you managed your time properly, you would have done your lighting ahead of time.
Oh, is that how it is?
Not really. So here's the deal. What we've got is about an hour and a half of video broken up into little chunks, and interspersed with them are a bunch of worksheets. One of the things that I've been accused of is talking too much about ideas and mindsets and not enough about tactic. And so this particular workshop is all about the tactic. It's about get your head on straight in a minute or two and then dive right into the action to make the change that you need to get it going. And so that's what we're talking about. And we're actually keeping it really simple. The mechanics for all of this is just via email, and we'll get you all set up. All you have to do is email rehab@intentionalacademy.com. How fancy is that, Justin?
Seems pretty simple to me.
I know. Anyone could do it.
So I guess the one last question that needs to that we can address is this free?
Ooh, we'll get there.
Okay.
The purpose of this course is to be incredibly, what's what I'm looking for? Practical. And as we get Intentional Academy going, what we're also trying to do is fund our ability to offer more of these types of things at higher and higher quality. Anybody who's been following along with this knows we've been bootstrapping this. And so there's a lot of room for improvement, whether it's with the tech or just the amount of time that we can devote to preparing these materials and getting everything together. And so for the first time since the Intentional Academy has started, we are actually trying to offer a product for sale. So it's not quite free, unless you happen to know exactly where I work and also happen to go there. One of the reasons we're doing it by email. If you send me an email with a certain at the end of it, then you know who you are. It is completely free. Sorry, everybody else, but I got to eat. And someday I'd like to send my kid to college. And I think Justin would too.
Mm-hmm. Working that way.
So instead of randomly, arbitrarily coming up with a number or anything like that, one of the things that I spent a lot of time doing was scouring the web for anything like this. And first off, I'm pleased to say that I didn't find much. So I think we found a need that isn't being met. And so hopefully we can, really fill a gap, fill a need. There are tons of seminars and books and courses and all that kind of stuff on the topics that we talk about, time and money management and careers. All of those are things that you can find lots of resources for, but they're all geared towards professionals. There is very little about any of those things that is directly written for students or even for young professionals. And what we're trying to do here is acknowledge the fact that a student's needs, the demands, the situation are substantially different from a graduate or somebody with 10 years or more experience, things like that, that we have taken all of the best ideas and kind of mapped them to actually work. This is all born out of real life. My own experience with this was that these were areas of my life that weren't working well. And I went out and I got a bunch of that kind of stuff and was dismayed when, of course, I couldn't apply most of it because it was, things like uh, talk to your boss about the number of projects that they're asking you to work on. Yeah, well, when you're taking 5 classes and every one of them has a project, you don't get to walk to one professor and say, "Hey, by the way, I've got projects in all my other classes. Maybe you should change what it is that we're required to do here." That level of control over your destiny doesn't seem to be offered to students. And so what we're doing is giving tips and techniques and strategies that work for students in that unique situation where the control and the agency, they look a little different. I didn't answer your question yet, did I, Justin?
No, but you're
No,
just
but
you're
you're
explaining. I mean,
explaining,
even
I
on
mean,
a
even
day-to-day
on a day-to-day
basis,
basis,
college
college
students
students
have
have,
variable schedules. I mean, for me, I wake up at the same time I go to work, and the only thing that changes is what meetings and phone calls I have that day or when is something
Right.
due. So, I mean,
Yeah.
when you go to university, you have 4 classes one day, the next day you work full time. The day after that, you have 3 classes and a seminar and a project small group. I mean, it's all
Yep.
over the place.
And so I think that, you know, I think we're meeting a real need, right? These are 3 areas: time, money, and career. They overlap, and one affects the other, and when one's out of whack, all of them are. And like you said, with the ups and the downs and the craziness that is a student life, I mean, just think about it, right? It's really hard to study if you're wondering whether or not you're going to pay rent this month.
hmm
It's really hard to study if you don't think that the things you're learning are going to help you when you graduate, develop your career, find things that you love to do, and get that income. And so when these things aren't working, they impact each other, and sadly, a lot of times the combination of that is that they impact your studies.
hmm
And so that's the need we're trying to meet. And so when I think about the things that college students face, like you said about variable schedules and things like that, add to it the fact that the faculty really don't seem to consider the fact that the students in their classes happen to also be taking other classes. You ever notice how all the exams are in the same week or all the projects are due same time? It's like we don't. It's almost like we coordinate to make it harder, but the truth
Well,
is we don't.
that just makes sense. I mean, if I'm going to have 2 exams in one class, I'm going to have one right in the middle and one at the end. If I'm going to
Right.
have 3 exams, you're going to split it up. So, and all of that tends to fall in the same day. So, same thing.
Yep. Yep. The other thing that's been crazy is on top of that, nowadays, the average student works about 16 hours a week. And so you think about the amount of time it takes to do well in school and then add 16 more hours of work to that just to pay the bills. It's like, wait a minute, what happened to participating in activities and building your resume with leadership experience or clubs, or I don't know, how about having a social life or just enjoying yourself and having some fun? I mean,
Or
there's just
catching up on
such a
Netflix.
huge demand. Yeah, right? For real. I mean, they drop new content and I gotta watch it. But there's so much. There's so much. And so uh, to address that, I guess you guys looked at it a little bit last week, but not everybody gets to see the show every week. So I just wanted to talk about them again. We've got 3 tools, I guess you could call them, that really help you get control of your time. And they are the life accounts, the time budget, and the ideal week. And what they do, they take you through the process of identifying your priorities and then actually flipping a mindset that instead of working on something until it's done, you give something a certain amount of time based on its priority in your life and how good of a job you feel you need to do at it, and you work on it for that amount of time, and then you stop. And I know that sounds crazy, but what happens is you'll start to see the areas where you need to invest more time, and you'll also see the areas where you need to invest less. And so we're going to take you through that process and help you essentially balance a bunch of trade offs and maximize the value of your efforts. And of course, protect a bunch of free time to enjoy yourself. In fact, one of the samples that I lay out shows how you can spend 15 hours a week in class, 45 hours a week studying, work 16 hours a week, sleep 7 hours a night, and still have 42 hours left over every week. That's a full-time job of having fun, eating, going to the gym, all the other things that you want to do with your life. It's like 6 hours a day still left over. It's amazing when you look at it that way to just wonder, wait, why do I feel so busy if I could do all of those things? And the answer is that it's just falling through the cracks. And so the last tool that we help with, this Ideal Week business, helps you plan out a week so that you don't lose that time to meaningless stuff, and instead can invest it in something that really brings you joy and satisfaction. How about that?
I know I
I know I
operate with
operate
the
with
less I
the
have to
less I
think
have
about, the
to think
less I
about,
have
the
to worry about.
more.
So I know what I'm going to eat. We'll meal plan, so I know I don't have to worry about figuring something out for dinner. I know we got it. We'll just cook it. Um,
Yeah.
Work. I I have to call people and say I need your agenda for this meeting now. I don't want it 5 minutes before. I need to know what you're expecting of me right now, so I can
Ooh,
be ready.
good one. Yeah. I've walked into a couple meetings prepared for the wrong meeting. It didn't go well. And, all of that, I guess, is a great point, because what we're talking about doing is getting a few systems set up in your life so that you can spend, 20 minutes or so at the beginning of every week making all those decisions and spending the entire rest of the time just acting. And the freedom you feel from that is incredible. There's this concept called decision fatigue, where every decision takes willpower, and the more times you put yourself in a position of having to decide what's next, the more tired you get, and the less effective you are at considering all the options and balancing a bunch of things that are going on and really doing the right thing. When that happens, that's when people end up in firefighting mode. That's when people end up just, whatever thing seems to be yelling the loudest is the thing they work on. And when do they stop working on it? Well, when they feel like it's done. And a lot of times that leaves more important things undone until they start screaming. And now you're running from fire to fire, trying to make this all work. And it's just, it's really hard. It's really hard.
I know one of the just little things that helped me when I was in school was I didn't wait until the day before to do homework. I tried to
Mhm.
do homework as soon after the class as possible because that material was fresh.
Yep. Yep.
So that was one of the things that just helped me was if I'm going to get this done, I was just in this class, I have some time, let's try to knock it out.
And that's kind of one of the things that we talk about, is basically blocking out some homework time so that you can do things like that, and really deciding, matching what you're doing with your energy levels. So, everybody's got a different style. I'm a morning person, but I sure wasn't when I was in college. You know, you and we did a lot of work together, and I think our best hours of the day were probably from like 2 to 5 p.m.
Hmm.
And that's when we did our homework, and we were done with it. You
Well, and that's
know,
because I wanted classes done before. I wanted to be in class from 8 to as early as possible to get it done. I didn't mind the 8 o'clock classes.
but for me, it was a lot easier to show up for class at 8 a.m. than it was to wake up and do homework at
Oh,
8 a.m.
I can now. That's 100% fact. I get
Right?
that.
So you can go and you can take your notes and everything, and then by the time you get out of class, you grab some lunch and you're ready to roll. And now that's what worked for me. Other people are just nighttime owls, and they want to work at night and take the free time in the day. That's the beauty of what we're talking about, is there's no right answer other than make the choice. Decide what works for you. Oh, and by the way, if you tried something and it didn't work this week, you get to change it next week and try again. Nothing's ever locked down. So that's kind of the beauty of strategy there. Man, cool tips, Justin. So the money one, let me ask you about this a minute. I've done a little bit of reading. Um, I wonder how much, like, what the legal environment is around people giving money advice.
A disclaimer is this is what works for me. What's the difference between me telling you how the best way to get through college? I mean, a college education technically is money. It's just an investment that matures over time instead of a straight.
So it's something that we're learning about. There is a disclaimer here, which on all of this stuff, this is what works for us. It's not necessarily the advice of some licensed, certified public accountant or any of that kind of stuff. It's just the life strategies that we used. And so perhaps it would be wise for us to say that if you've got a complicated situation or don't understand what we're talking about, you might want to ask a professional. But that being said, we're talking about things that seem to me to be so fundamental and so high level that I don't really think there's an issue here.
Well, we're not giving advice for people to take their money and use their money to make money. I feel like that's when you start getting into,
That's
you know,
probably true.
we're
The
telling you how to
exception,
maximize the value of your cash.
right? The exception to that being that if you invest a little bit of money in this course, you'll be able to reap many benefits in the future.
I see what you did there.
Ah. So the money situation for college students is crazy because of the fact that their income is so irregular or non-existent, right? I remember as I was going through, I would make a bunch of money over the summer working whatever job, maybe it was an internship or, even, an hourly job. If you work all summer at it, you make a bunch of money and you're trying to save up and then use that to survive for the semester or for the year.
And then
Uh,
instead buy a boat and have an awesome summer.
well, things happen. Um, that being said, the other place that they get these big paychecks from is from things like student loans, right? You get a student loan, and all of a sudden it's this huge deposit, and holy smokes, 18 grand just showed up in my bank account. You
One
know,
thing people don't know is that you're not obligated to keep that.
interesting, interesting.
So you can give back what you don't need.
Yep. There's certainly no law requiring you to spend it.
It's very tempting. Give
I
any
don't know
person
anybody
at
that
that
did that.
age, that amount of
Referencing,
money, and
and now you know the real cost of that boat.
exactly.
So here's the thing. What we've come up with is a plan, and it involves something really complicated called division, where we help you normalize your income so that it's a little more steady per month. And the way it works is take all the money that's in your savings, you subtract out all the predictable expenses, and then you divide whatever's left by the number of months until your next big payday, or till summer when you're going to have a job again. And that's your monthly income. We talk about the process of how you can use that in combination with a budget to decide, even though you've got that monthly income, whether you're going to spend it all or maybe you save some of it for future things, or how you're going to live. But we work all that out um, because we want to help protect people from a couple of things that seem to happen. One of which is you got this big chunk in your savings account and an idea comes along and you're not sure if you can afford to spend the money on it. Say a trip for spring break, or,
A koi
uh,
pond.
man, you're good today. Do as I say, not as I did, right? Stupid crap I bought in college. Oh man, that's like a whole episode of this
Yeah,
show,
we
dude.
could have a fun story time. We'll save it for another one. That's a lot of good content.
That's like a whole themed episode. We
It is.
should do that. Stick a pin in it. Stupid things we bought in college, and by we probably only mean me.
Oh no! Oh no!
Maybe you claim a couple. All right, all right. But on top of that, we're trying to protect you from just the day to day, right? One of the things that colleges are inadvertently teaching people is to spend extra money on convenience. right? How do you eat in college? Well, you go out basically. It's called a dining hall, but all that is going to a restaurant 3 meals a day, right? Uh, we tell people to buy textbooks regardless of their value. You have to spend the money. We don't really consider value in anything. We just blindly spend money. um, and then on top of all of that, we've got this desire to fit in. Your friends are going out or going to do whatever, and you don't want to be the one that says no. So all of those things come along, and what it leads to is just this kind of binge income followed by binge spending and no real plan for it. And so the income part is stressful, the spending part is stressful. All the things that you blew the money on weren't as much fun as they could have been if you'd have just planned ahead for them. And so what we're talking about here isn't not having fun. It's actually freeing yourself to have more fun by knowing that it's okay if you're going to actually spend this money. It's not going to harm you in the future to have done that. So that's kind of the spiel on money, is to kind of protect your time and your money there so that you can do something fun, like buy koi ponds and boats.
And go mudding in Jeeps and
Jeeps and
go to Key West and
oh my gosh, subwoofer and
I bought an
plasma.
iPod. That was fun.
Nice. All right, Justin, you ready to talk about careers for a minute?
I have one of those.
I would argue everybody has one. They just may or may not be going where they want them to. My favorite statistic to pick on for colleges is that, in recruiting materials, they like to post numbers, and the number that they post over the entire US, the average is that 70% of college graduates are employed 6 months after graduation, which sounds really hopeful. The problem is that there's a study that was done by the federal government. This is 2016 data, so might be a little off in the numbers now, but I doubt it. And it showed that half of those people who are employed 6 months after graduation are either underemployed or misemployed. When I say underemployed, I mean at a job that doesn't require the degree that they have, as far as the level of education. And misemployed meaning they're working in a job that maybe it required a degree, but it certainly didn't require the major that they picked. It's just something wildly different. And those people obviously are reporting low job satisfaction. And
So let me ask the
yeah,
question from the other side. So 70% are employed, right?
mhm.
After graduation. So 30% of college graduates aren't working.
6 months
So
after
6
graduation.
months after graduation. Okay. So 6 months after graduation, 30% of people that spent thousands of dollars don't have a job at all.
Right. And
And
another
then
35% of them are working jobs they wish they weren't. So
at least
65.
they're working.
Yeah, sure.
So the
But
pros and cons of that, but there needs to be a study that goes deeper into that 30% to see what's going on and what
yep,
happened
yep.
because
Well,
of the debt epidemic with people, just blindly taking student loans. I mean, seeing a 30% mark like that 6 months after, 6 months after, the reason they say 6 months after is because that's when you start paying your student loans back.
and that's the point I was hoping you'd make, man, because what I think is happening is the people that are under or misemployed, that the half of the people that have jobs, I think what's happening is they're getting scared because they see that bill coming and they just say yes to anything.
At least they're
Either
working
way,
to pay their bills.
oh, sure. Oh, yeah. And there's honor in that. Don't get me wrong. But our mission here is to help you not be either of those two categories. I don't want you to be in the 30% that's unemployed or the half of the employed people who are unhappy about it. The whole point of working hard, spending a life savings to go to college is to end up in the career that you aimed for. And so that's kind of the last part here of what this is all about, is helping people actually get there. And what I can talk about is why it is that a lot of these, what would be successful college graduates aren't ending up where they are, I think I've got some reasons why. And, not to sound weird, but I'm kind of blaming the internet. See, it used to be that when there was a job opening, the people that were resourceful enough to find it applied to it. Now, the internet lets you find every job that's open everywhere, which actually that's not true, but many jobs. And so we assume that it's all of them. But everybody who's looking can apply. And it's as easy as clicking a couple buttons. Now, it's a little bit more irritating than that, but not really. When I graduated, I applied to 100 jobs, and it wasn't a very big process. And so if you think about that, what that means is every job is flooded. You go to a career fair, and even the good candidates nowadays, they just tell them, "Oh, thanks for talking with us. Go apply online." They don't, they don't offer interviews on the spot like they used to. Online applications don't seem to lead to any phone calls. And I think it all comes down to the fact that computers are sorting this stuff, and there's always somebody better on paper. If you've got 10,000 applicants, how are you number one? And then I hear students talking about this cycle that they get caught in of, oh, you have to have experience to get a job, but you have to have a job to get experience. So you got to get a job to get experience, and an experience to get a job. And it's like, what the heck? Anyhow, I think that what we've determined are some ways that you can kind of unlock that and get out of that cycle and out of that grind. And believe it or not, it centers around forming human relationships and realizing that you're not actually in college to get good grades. You're in college to learn things, and your good grades might be a measurement of that. And so the things that we're going to show you here are how to identify your strong and your weak areas in professional skills, how to network and actually form relationships and contacts with people that want to talk to you and ultimately want to work with you. And then we're going to talk about the process of actually going after a job, how to apply for jobs. And I'll give you a little hint here. Those 100 that I applied to, I got 0 phone calls out of. And that was with awesome grades, a stellar resume, and of course a high GPA with my PhD. No phone calls. And the stuff that we're going to talk about here is the process that I followed, that instead I applied to 25 more jobs, and every one of them I at least got a phone interview with. That's pretty compelling statistics, I think. And what's more exciting now is that I've taught these things to students that I work with and working. What's up?
And me.
And
I can
Justin.
tell you 100% it works. Even in the professional workforce already, the methods work.
Oh, yeah. And it's all baked into this class. Like I said, it's about an hour and a half. And, it's an hour and a half of videos plus the time you put into the worksheets, which I got to say, it's one of these experiences where you're going to get what you put out of it. You can watch all the videos and feel good about yourself, but until you do the work of thinking through these processes, where what you're going to realize is you're reprioritizing your life to make it be what you want it to be, instead of what the world around you is just kind of letting it flop into. That's going to take a little effort. So it's not easy, but it is clear and it is all there. We geared this particularly to help people get back on track with their career, with these 3 things: time, money, career, in the middle of a semester. This isn't like a prep course. This is a fix-it course.
Mm-hmm.
And so for that reason, we're only going to offer it in the middle of the semester, hence the name Midterm Rehab. And so basically at the end of March, we're going to have to close it down. Anybody who's already in it, of course, can have access forever, but we're not going to keep letting people in, because I don't want to waste anyone's time, and this stuff isn't going to be useful come finals. It's useful now. And so there is kind of a limited window on this. Super easy, by the way, to sign up. All you got to do is email rehab@intentionalacademy.com. All right, Justin, you ready for the numbers?
And I wish I would have had that to put up here.
Oh, yeah, that's my bad. Drop it in the comments. Believe me, people are going to see the word rehab@intentionalacademy.com a lot. I wonder if I could write it on my phone screen real quick and just hold it up.
I'm working it.
Nice. So you want to do the numbers thing?
Sure.
Okay, so let me remind you again. There are some people who have a certain email address that looks like mine because you go to or work at the same school that I do. And everything that the Intentional Academy does is free for you. Sorry, everybody else, but I would like to live my life completely above board. And so I don't think I'm actually required to do this, but I don't want there to be any shade of conflict of interest or any of that kind of stuff. And so I'm just not even going there. You're my student at that school. This stuff's for you for free. But everybody else, it's still a killer value. Okay. I went online. I think I started with this when Justin asked the question. And I looked around for other surveys or for other workshops and seminars like this. And granted, they're offered to professionals more than students. Like I said, that's the problem we're dealing with. But they were around $100 for a 1 to 2 hour workshop like this. But then I went a step further and I thought, okay, well, it's kind of nice to have these things, but what if you need help? What if you need some support or you have a question or you'd like to see how other people are doing it? And so I started looking around some more and found, some pretty neat communities of people who are doing things like this, where, after you take the class, you can sign up for the community and be a part of that. Those memberships, I couldn't believe it, man. They were like $20 or $30 a month, and people just like subscribe to that indefinitely. I'm going to build one of those too. We have built one of those, and it comes in this class. So we got the workshop, we got the community, and then the last thing, just because I like to drop as many cherries on top as I possibly can to say thanks to everybody, is last semester we taught a 7-week masterclass called Intentional 101. And it takes all the stuff that we're talking about in this quick workshop of the midterm rehab, and it expands on it. And it gives you the full picture, the big mindset 7-week video course there. And we're going to drop that in too. Anybody that takes midterm rehab is going to get access to that course. Now, it was taught live. Now it's just the recordings, but you can go watch them too if you like. And how much do you think people charge for that one typically, Justin?
For the total?
The total?
Yeah. Well, for the 7-week classes.
7-week
The
class?
7-week
I don't know, maybe 100.
Yeah. Turns out it's more like 3.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Of course, I'm seeing dollar signs and my dreams are coming true, right? Except that I'm teaching this for college students. And I think the reason that you don't find them online geared towards college students is that nobody's in a position to pay that.
Or
So
the big payoff isn't there for the content creators.
Exactly. So we've got a little bit different plan here, and it comes from serve first, make the numbers work later. And so we're going to start this thing, like I said, so something on the order of it's several $100s worth of value compared to other things that are out there. We're selling it for 27. So $27, that's like 3 meals out if you eat the way I do. And we could get your whole semester back in order.
Sounds like a deal to me. I mean, I kind of have a bias, but I've also bought into this mentality, and it's changing my life, my family's life for the better. Debt-free journeys and furthering our careers, and I mean, we're almost there, and without divulging too much, we're pretty well off. So,
well, and that's that's where we want to get people. We want to get people to a place where they're feeling that way about their lives. That, you know what, it's in order, it's in hand. I'm making progress. It turns out that success isn't the thing that makes you feel good. It's the progress towards it. And so, we're going to come right in and help you identify all the most important things in your life, and then start helping you buy the time and the mental space to make progress in all of those areas so that you feel like a whole person. One of the biggest regrets I have is that even though we did have a lot of fun in college, I was constantly living this future mentality of, oh, someday when I graduate, everything's going to be better. And it's not, it's just different. And so, what what we're trying to do here is kind of help people now get that mindset back and realize that there's just so much more, and it's just there for you. So,
Fill the awkward silence.
yeah, it's good. Got you. This course is going to be available tomorrow. And more than anything, if you're interested in it, I want to hear from you. I don't really care about the numbers. What I want to do is help. And so all you have to do to find out more is email me at rehab@intentionalacademy.com. Justin, did you manage to get that up?
It is right below us.
What? Right there.
Yep.
There.
Right in the middle. Straight down.
Boom.
You're right. Down, but to the right. Whatever.
How's like that?
They see it.
Rehab@intentionalacademy.com. That email address is live and watched by me. You're not going to deal with a robot, and you're not going to deal with some spam autoresponder. It's just me, which also means you're not going to get instantaneous responses. But I'm checking it several times a day, and I'm here for you. We want to get you set up. We want you to have this experience. And so if you're interested in it in any way, just reach out and let me know, and we'll talk about it. We'll figure out how to make it work for you. Justin, that's what I had to say today. Midterm rehab.
Let's go. Let's do stuff. I know it's worked for us. Let's make it work for everyone else.
Man, I'm so excited. So thanks for the support. Everybody that's been watching these things, Justin, as always, Nicole and I, we just love working with you, man. This continues to just be so much fun. And now here we are at one of our big moments, right? This is like the first big thing this year, 2018. We do have a couple of other things in the works. And if you go
one that just came to mind, we're going to discuss when we are offer here.
Nice. But if you go through the seminar, you'll get a preview of two of them that are coming out later this year, both of which you're going to really enjoy. So rehab@intentionalacademy.com. Shoot me an email. Let's get this thing going. In the meanwhile, I'd just like to say thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Do the things, hit the like button, the share button, leave a comment. If you've got questions, come hang out with us on social media. Justin's out there, I'm out there, Nicole's out there. We're on all the platforms here to help you. Register, register, register. Come take this class, rehab@intentionalacademy.com. But above all of that, I hope that you just go do something on purpose. And with that, I'll say good night and thanks. See you, Justin.
Good night, everyone.